Are you ready to create a life you crave? Let's spin that doom loop of negativity into an upward success cycle and start living lucky.
Good morning.
I'm Jana.
I'm Jason.
And we are living lucky.
You are too.
I had a coach this week tell me, Jana, you need to strengthen every area of your life. And it struck me as that's a philosophy that you and I tend to work on everything all at once.
Yeah.
And I've often heard the opposite of that, where you need to just pick one thing, one area of your life, almost get the plate spinning in that one area.
Keep the main thing the main thing. Like find that one thing.
Yes. And then the energy and the momentum you start to get, then that will start to
build.
And it will start to bleed into other areas of your life. So there's different philosophies here.
Yeah, and I think it's almost like a recipe.
Okay.
And you find what recipe you like the taste of the best.
I thought today we could just have a conversation because what is your taste? I feel like we naturally...
So we tend to fall into, I feel like, working on a lot of things at once.
And it's usually 3 or 4 areas all at once.
And I think what tends to happen is we focus on one thing and things start getting better in other areas. And we say, yes, and. So then we just move naturally into those areas. Mm-hmm. Where we could. So if we're looking for individual mastery in one area, we could stay totally focused in one area. Like when we were doing
finances.
Well, I was going to go fitness.
Because, okay, let's do fitness. Fitness is always something that everyone can relate to.
When we had Cindy as our fitness coach,
yes,
we saw tremendous results in fitness.
We did.
But we
where's Cindy
we
now?
Lost some of our social life. We were focused heavily on
because we
fitness.
Stopped drinking alcohol and we stopped eating crap.
We stopped going out to dinner. We stopped watch what you're eating. You're working out 5 days a week, like different workouts.
And we were tired. We would go to bed early because we were like, oh my gosh,
but our bodies were like jamming.
They were. And when our bodies were jamming, we started making more money.
Yes.
We started getting more opportunities at work. It
started
to grow in a different area.
Other things.
Yes.
Which we said, okay, Cindy, this is enough. Because it wasn't like we wanted to go into bodybuilding competitions.
I know.
So if we had wanted to go into bodybuilding competitions, then we would have changed our ecosystem to bodybuilders are friends. Mm-hmm. But that's not what our lifestyle wanted to be. What we wanted was our same lifestyle, better bodies.
I still want that.
Right.
Where's Cindy now? That's all I can say.
So what we did was we started, let's focus here. And then we went and said, all right, well, let's focus on the eating. Let's focus on the finance. Let's focus on work. Then we said, hey, we need to focus on each other. Mm-hmm. Let's focus on our relationship.
Yes.
And when
we started focusing on our relationship, then we started to exude more happiness, which affected our friendships with people, our family
connection in general.
Yes.
And then it also created this new relationship with life, relationship with our health, relationship with money, like all types of relationships.
So I guess the real question is, can you have it all at once?
I think you can. It's just about, okay, what's the process you want to go through? Like, what's that recipe you want to follow, or what's your learning style? And recognizing ours is not spinning 7 plates at once or 12 plates at once.
But we tend to do that. And then we tend to drop a couple plates. And so we usually focus on about 4 plates. And I say plates because it reminds me of, when you're at the circus and the mime.
Different rings are going.
Yeah, the mime comes out and he starts spinning the plates, right? Yeah. And then he spins 2 plates. And then you're like, wow, he can spin 2 plates. And then all of a sudden he spins 3. And he's running from one side and then to the the other, and then to
all of
the
a sudden
other.
he's got 7 or 8 plates going, and then you're waiting for the plate to drop.
You're like, which plate's gonna drop? Which plate's gonna drop? And right when you think, oh, it's gonna be this one, then he like runs over there and spins it.
But that gets exhausting.
Yes.
So then it's like, okay, well, what are my 3 or 4 most important plates? And then what plates affect the most things?
But eventually, the plates start
supporting
feeding
each other.
into each other.
And that's where you get the gears, like habit stacking.
It's like a gear.
You put the gears and the things in place that start feeding each other. So it's not running between, it's just one feeds another, and then they start working together. And it's recognizing that formula.
Okay,
and saying,
so
how does that work?
I'm glad we're having this conversation, because not only is it sometimes a challenge to get your own gears going in the right direction and all moving in synchronicity
and towards the same dream.
However, then I think it even becomes more complex when you have a partner
and you have
and you're trying
similar
to get
or separate dreams.
The two machines to work in tandem,
in sync,
and support each other. And it feels like
that's where communication is key. That's like when we come back and huddle multiple times a day. And we're fortunate because we set our lives up to where we can actually do it in person almost probably 80 or 90% of the time.
We do huddle pretty well. However, I do think that there's always room for improvement.
Always.
Right?
Yes.
And I still feel like you and I, sometimes our machines are just slightly out of sync. And when yours...
And there's a wrench in there somewhere clanging around.
Yes.
and a lot of times that happens.
We fine-tuned it a lot. Don't get me wrong. And I feel like anyone that's listening to this podcast, that in your life, you can relate to this, because we all, start getting things moving and going, and okay, yeah. My health I'm eating better, I'm exercising, and now all of a sudden I feel better and I have more energy, which then leads to, okay, I can do more work, or I can spend more time with the kids, or I can do more projects around the house, and that gets my creativity going. And then all of a sudden more money's coming in because I'm creating more. And you do start feeding, and it's hard to get everyone in the household on the same motivation frequency,
that right swing plane. And what happens for me sometimes is, just to throw it out there, is that sometimes I look at you just kind of like looking at a Facebook post or an Instagram post, and it looks like you are in the right state, the right frame of mind, the right energy frequency, and you're on track. And I might feel a little exhausted, or I might feel a little like there's something in me that's saying, I'm kind of pushing my limit right now. So I'm at a point where I need to take a break, but I don't want to break the flow.
Yeah.
So I don't speak up.
Jason, that is so brave and courageous of you to say that out loud. And just showing a little vulnerability helps me and anyone that's listening to this, because I'm going to be real with you. Up until just recently, I felt that way. I felt I would look at you and go, oh my gosh, Jason is building our business, and I don't know if I can keep up.
And I think in couples and in life, we go through this and we do this often, and we don't with our partner have these crucial conversations where it's like, this is where I'm at emotionally and physically and spiritually. And how can I be a better partner? Like that's the questions that we can ask each other, not like how can I be a better partner for you? How can I love you better? How can I do better for you? Like not what have you done today? Like not those questions. Like what have you checked off the list today? No. How can I show up better for you? How can I support you more? Those types of questions, because that leans into where are you? Like what are you feeling right now? What are you thinking right now? And where are you emotionally, physically, and mentally? Because that way I can say, hey, you know what? I gave it all I had, this is what I did well. This is what I think I might have done differently, and this is how I can be more effective later. But I'm pushing my limit, and I just need to breathe right now, or I might just need to be alone so I can decompress a little bit.
Okay. You've just opened the door to so many different topics that I want to bring up, but to keep our podcast succinct, I just want to tie this in a button. So I guess what we're saying is it's up to the individual to pick your style of growth.
Yeah. Do you want to focus on one thing at the time, which makes things simpler, but it also leaves other plates unattended? Or do you want to say, all right, what are my true values, my biggest, highest values in life, and focus on like 3 or 4 and just get really good at those, and then figuring out what are the things in between those that tie them together?
I like to think of it as the hub of a wheel.
Yes.
If spokes. I can become the hub, then the spokes in my life will
take care of the outside pieces.
Yes. And what I
and
believe
that becomes
about
working on yourself.
Yeah.
Because as the hub, you take care of the hub. Like the hub stays
my true,
tight.
authentic self.
Not
and
the BS.
To speak my truth.
Not the BS that influences the hub, because the hub influences out.
Yeah, not to become what I think everybody wants me to be, but to really speak my soul and say, this is who I am. This is what I want to do with my life. That's
the only way to spin true.
Yeah. Yeah.
And have balance.
Well, I'm not sure we helped anyone, but I believe you all helped us. So thank you for allowing us to have this conversation.
Sometimes we do this sometimes just to get it out of our heads in one of our huddles and get it into yours.
No, can I just, one last thing, and then we'll wrap up. I seriously sometimes think that Jason and I do this podcast so that we can help ourselves.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
And hopefully us articulating it out loud, because I think we're all more same than we are different, and we're all going through a lot of the same things.
That's true.
And we grow every single day, and we want our community growing every single day with us.
Yeah, I love it.
So keep living lucky.
Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
If the idea of living lucky appeals to you, visit us at startlivinglucky.com.